Some law of attraction stuff.
All right.
We always get lots of emails, lots of questions. So this reminded me of someone that I know channels. Can we channel the collective Abraham, not the biblical person?
Oh, the collective? Yes.
Okay.
Right. Okay, I have them.
And then to confirm, ask them if they're the collective that channels through Esther.
No, okay, I got to throw them away. So I need the collective that channels through.
Yeah, Esther Hicks.
Esther Hicks. Okay, now I've got it.
Perfect. And now that you have them on the phone, can you ask them
on the phone? Hello?
Is anyone out there? What do they
Is anybody there?
What do they think about the other groups that kind of go by Abraham that are floating out there?
They're bogus.
And how's this group doing that we're talking to right now?
They're doing very well.
And we got their kind of ranking comparatively to Jesus. Can you ask this group what they think of Jesus real quick?
What do you think of Jesus? Ooh, this group, according to their own personal thought, feeling, and opinion, says we're better than Jesus. And Jesus is now standing here going, no, they're not.
Yeah, you know what's funny is Jesus is always there waiting to intervene in our conversations.
Always.
Why do they think they're better?
Why do you think that? Because we give better information than Jesus. Jesus's information is very limited. Jesus is here shaking his head saying that's not true, but that's what they're saying.
Well, I mean, I kind of have to agree with that because I feel like a lot of the information is in the Bible, which you really, so, each chapter or whatever, or I don't know how it works, but it's like each one is written by a different person, and each one you really have to assume has been given, like Mark, Luke, and John or whatever. They're all trying to speak on behalf of God. So it's like, that might be actually a good topic is, were any of them actually correct, or actually channeling, or were some of them maybe inaccurate? So, it's hard to actually pinpoint what information actually came from Jesus because most of it seems to be anecdotal, because Jesus didn't write his own stuff. It's all written through stories from other people.
Is it all written true stories for other people? Yes, that's correct.
And Abraham, the collective, talks directly to the human public in the current day and age through a woman named Esther Hicks. So I have to agree that their information is more straightforward at the very least. Can you ask Jesus if he agrees with the information that the Abraham collective is putting forth?
No.
Well, what exactly does he not agree with?
Access to that amount of information.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So to clarify for everybody, when we talk to religious figures, they're actually usually against us having this information. So he didn't really necessarily say that the information is bad. He was actually just saying that our access to this information is bad in itself, which is the interesting part. So, can you ask Jesus if the information is true, regardless of it being bad for us to access?
Is the information true? Most of it.
Okay, well, so that's a long introduction to the topic of manifestation.
Mhm.
Um, Abraham basically says that you manifest the world that you want to be in. Um,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, and I don't really even want to ask Jesus any of these questions because he tends to disagree with all of it.
That's exactly true, because before you said that, Jesus said, no, you're supposed to stick with your life path that's been, that's been sorted out before you got here.
Yeah, I feel like that's exactly the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is the point of focus. And focus, I'm referring to our vibrational state of consciousness because um, Abraham is essentially almost all of the information is really, really amazing. All of it has to do with the idea of getting into the vortex. And Abraham explains the vortex as being everything you ever wanted and shows you exactly how to manifest by like gets like, which is the idea of manifestation. So to get what you want, you have to be in the vibrational state of the things that you want. And Jesus and maybe a couple other people we've talked to have kind of said that like you don't get what you want, you get what you have planned for yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So the debate is there's so much information about if what we get or like what we want is literally there for us is the concept. So can you ask Abraham if what we want is ready for us before we even ask for it?
Is whatever we want ready for us before we even ask for it? Is it ready for us? No, it's not ready for us. No.
What does the collective of Abraham say about what we want in relation to our reality?
You have to earn it.
So whenever we get into the morality of earning things and getting what we want, the first thing that comes to my mind is, the evildoers who have everything they want and have all the money. So um, the earning it thing doesn't really jive with me because there's a lot of bad people who have everything they want. So I don't really understand that.
So let me explain. When they say you have to earn it, I feel like you have to work to make it happen.
True.
Not talking about the millionaires and billionaires and people that have everything they want, but this is more on the level of, you can't just sit here and say, I want this, and then it magically appears. You have to earn it. You have to work through it. It's a process. And a lot of times you're learning through that process. So if it's supposed to happen, it will happen. Now, part of trying to manifest something is probably, yes, see, it is probably within our soul contracts, within our soul journey, as an enlightenment tool. Because once we manifest through a certain modality, we become enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
And by becoming enlightened, that means that there's more out there than just yourself. There's more to life than being on the earth plane. So we manifest, or we design these miracles to happen through manifestation in order to bring us closer to, the spirit world, the non 3D thinking. Manifestation does work, but it's like, does it work because it was already there? I guess so.
Well, can you ask Abraham if there's a variety of things in our soul contract that could happen?
So, as in probabilities?
Yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is some of these figures we talk about like what has been meant to happen, but what can be meant to happen to me also signifies the same thing as a math equation of 1 plus x can equal 1 through 10. So, you know, there's a lot of different outcomes that are meant to happen, but depending on your decisions, which one you're meant to encounter happens. So if you could ask Abraham if there's several outcomes that can happen that are synonymous with being meant to happen.
There's several outcomes that can happen that are synonymous. That is what is meant to happen. No.
Yeah.
Now I know your cogs are turning. People think the role of an interviewer is so easy. It so isn't. It's so not easy.
Can you ask Jesus if there are multiple life paths that don't happen even though they are in our DNA?
Multiple life paths that don't happen. No. There's only one life path.
Yeah. So, there is the gaze that we're looking through. It depends on who we talk to, because a certain perspective has the perspective of unlimited time, therefore sees no other outcome. Let's just say, like, perhaps Jesus might have, compared to Abraham, who may just be one step below in, I don't know, physicality or whatever. And, Abraham might see the probable outcomes versus Jesus, which sees the only outcome. So, people are very interested in manifestation, and I keep telling everyone, if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. And this is based on our conversations with everybody. It what really people want to know is if we have any power over our lives? Because it really feels like we don't the more we dive into this.
No, the only power we seem to have is when we're designing our lives. Other than that, we don't really have a lot of power over our lives. Now, do we have the same manifesting power? Yes. But part of that manifesting power is, again, it was in the design path anyway. It was already predetermined. And think about even the person that posed all these questions to manifest. Look how much he had to learn in order to figure out different modes of manifestation. Jose Silva, Neville
Mhm.
Goddard, Esther Hicks,
Yeah.
books after books after books. And all of these books contain spiritual enlightenment. So the fact that you're chasing manifestation, it brings about so much wisdom and enlightenment. It's profound. And maybe at that point, when you have achieved or checked the boxes of enlightenment and wisdom, then you're allowed to manifest. I do feel that when you are enlightened, you raise your vibration, albeit probably only temporary. But when you raise that vibration, that's when manifestation can come towards you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to
Well,
be on this enlightened vibrational plane.
but that's assuming that. So, like, really, you're saying that manifestation is something that you can only achieve if you're in the vibration of it. But the point I'm trying to make is that no matter what your vibration is, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and what you want to manifest is just to the wayside.
Right. But getting to that vibrational state was probably in the life design anyway. Oh God.
Well, yeah, that is the next level of questions. Is well, I mean, first of all, you have to assume that everything that you do has been planned. So when I personally am trying to elevate my vibration, I simply have to assume that I chose to engage in my current vibration versus what I would like to be in. And if I achieve it, and that was my desired outcome, like, predestined, like you said, it's okay. Can you ask Abraham if everything is predestined?
Is everything predestined, predetermined? That is correct.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at some of these questions. So in the Bible, there's a phrase, even before you ask, it is given.
Hmm.
What does that mean? Even before you ask, it is given, or is what you get what you need and not necessarily what you want? Now, that's a good question because yes, a lot of times when we're manifesting, you get what you need, not necessarily what you want. I'll give a perfect example. And I've said this example before, but I think it's always worth repeating. My mother had passed away, okay, and she always wanted a service back in her hometown, in her village in the UK, in England. And I booked it. I booked the, where we were having the service. I booked all the hotel for the entire family. I booked all, the what they do is a memorial tea, like a funeral tea. All of this stuff is very expensive, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to do this for my mom. And I had no idea how I was going to pay for it. And about 2 weeks prior to us supposed to leave to go to England, right? I still didn't know how I was going to pay for it, but suddenly I just had this feeling that everything was going to be okay. Now, I used the CTT. I did a few rounds of tapping. I said, Spirit, I have to have this money to pay for this funeral.
Yeah.
And 2 days before we were supposed to fly out. And what was so interesting is that there was no warning whatsoever. It was my oldest son's birthday. We just sang happy birthday to him. He started blowing out the candles on his cake, and suddenly all hell broke loose in our backyard. We're like, what? All hell broke loose. And a tornado came through our backyard right at that moment, ripped out our shed, flung trees everywhere. It was just awful. And I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And of course, I had to call the insurance company. The insurance company came out. I said, look, I have to leave. This was Monday. They came out on the Tuesday. I have to leave Wednesday to fly out. We're out of here. I have to go. I can't change this. I can't deal with this now. And on the Wednesday morning at 6 a.m., we were due to leave the house at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And the insurance agent dropped a check off at my front door, sent me a text message saying, check out your front door. And I opened up the envelope, and there was the check for the money for the damage. Yeah. Now, I calculated it 3 times, and it was down to the dollar of what the funeral was going to cost.
So why did that happen?
That was meant to happen.
But why?
Why was that meant to happen? To prove to you that they're listening.
Oh, yeah. I see that all the time. It's crazy.
It's to prove that they're listening. Because a lot of us are trying to manifest and manifest and manifest. And then we lose hope because we feel like they're not listening. But they're always listening. And part of that frustration is learning. And a lot of it is, defining the life path and the struggle. Why are you making me wait so long? This is what I need. I work hard for it. Why can't I have this? Yep. It's really difficult.